Lisa Hiles again from Perfectly Spoken, and here with lesson 9 of my B1 course for intermediate learners, those of you with an IELTS score of about 4. Today's lesson is about mobile phones, how we use them, so some vocabulary, and also some telephone phrases. So those of you who have to make a telephone call for work will find this particularly useful, I hope. Okay, let's get started, shall we? Let's have a look at task 1. Task 1 is called How Do You Use Yours? And you have to match a verb in numbers 1 to 9 with its noun letters A to I. So for example, in the first one, number 1, make a, and you are looking for C, phone call, make a phone call. Okay, match the numbers and the letters. Here we go. 2, take a, G, photo. Number 3, send or receive a, F, text, send or receive a text. Number 4, send or receive an. E, email, send or receive an email. Remember, email starts with a vowel, an email. Number 5, access. B, social media, access social media on your phone, Twitter, Facebook, those kinds of things, Snapchat. 6, do some, and here the answer is A, internet shopping. Do some internet shopping, one of my favourite things to do. Number 7, pay a. D, a bill, pay a bill. So a bill is something, for example, that you might get from the electrical company, from the gas company. They send you a bill once every month, 2 months, 3 months about your electricity or your gas supply. Yeah? Pay a bill. Number 8, check my. Here it's I, check my bank account. And so finally, number 9, have an English lesson, of course, H. Okay. Those of you who just want to see what that looks like, here we go. There are the answers. Make a phone call, take a photo, send or receive a text, send or receive an email, access social media, do some internet shopping, pay a bill, check my bank account, and have an English lesson. So I want to find out how you use your mobile phone. That's quite tricky to say. Why don't you say it? How you use your mobile phone. Here we go, task 2. So we're using the language from task 1 to ask questions about how you use your mobile phone. Here we go, number 1. Have you ever a phone call in English? What's the missing verb? Don't forget its form. Have you ever? We need a past participle here. Number 1, have you ever made a phone call in English? Number 2, who was the last person you took a photo of? The verb needs to be in the past simple here. Who was the last person you took a photo of? Number 3, how often do you social media? Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat. What was the verb that we used in task 1 for using social media on your phone, looking it up? That's right. How often do you access social media? Number 4, do you think it's safe to a bill or your bank account online? What are the words that go with a bill and bank account? What are the verbs? Can you remember? Do you think it's safe to pay a bill or check your bank account online? Number 5, when was the last time you did some internet shopping? Past simple required here. When was the last time? Yep. When was the last time you did some internet shopping? Okay, here are the answers. Made, took, access, pay and check and did. I'm going to read the questions again and I'd like you to pause the recording and answer the questions so that they are true for you. Okay? Here we go. Number 1, have you ever made a phone call in English? 2, who was the last person you took a photo of? 3, how often do you access social media? Number 4, do you think it's safe to pay a bill or check your bank account online? And number 5, when was the last time you did some internet shopping? Okay, great. Let's move on. In task 3, sorry, the writing is a bit small. I wanted to fit it onto one page. Sorry about that. Number 3, task 3, I would like you to read this example of a phone conversation in English. And I want you to think while you're reading, what's wrong with it? Ready? A, hello. B, I want to talk to Stephanie Marston. A, who are you? B, Lisa Hiles. A, what? B, Lisa Hiles. A, Stephanie isn't here. B, when is she going to be back? A, don't know. B, tell her to call me back. A, okay, bye. B, bye. Okay, what's wrong with that conversation? Do you know? It's not a problem with the actual language that I've used. There's no errors in that. It's a problem that it sounds very rude. It's too direct. The way that the questions are asked, there's no please. It's too direct. It just sounds very wrong to the English ear. Okay, so one of my biggest tips to you is when using the phone in English is that you need to sound much more polite. And we use certain phrases and lots of pleases and things and polite requests to help us achieve that. So let's have some practice of that now. So I'd like you to unjumble these fixed phrases to sound more polite when telephoning in English. Okay, I want to speak to Stephanie Marston. That's too direct. Okay, it doesn't sound polite. So what do we say? Speak, please, I, Stephanie Marston, could too. So you need to put the words into the correct order. You need to unjumble them. Take some time to do that now. Right, number 1. Could I speak to Stephanie Marsden, please? Do you get that? Could I speak to Stephanie Marsden, please? Number 2. Who are you? You can't say that on the phone. It's too direct. It's impolite. What do we say? Please can is I calling ask who? Listen, can I ask who's calling, please? Can I ask who is calling, please? Number 3. What? Can't say that. You please repeat, could that? Could you repeat that, please? Could you repeat that, please? Number 4, Stephanie isn't here. Okay, we need to think about being a little bit more polite there. Stephanie afraid available moment I'm isn't the at. It's quite a long one, that, isn't it? Listen, I'm afraid Stephanie isn't available at the moment. I'm afraid Stephanie isn't available at the moment. Got those? So here we go. Oh, there's some more. Task 4 continues. Here we go. Number 5. When is she going to be back? Okay, so that's a direct question. And we like to use indirect ones, okay, to sound more polite on the phone. Tell could me, you, she, when, back, be, to, going, is. Pause the recording here and try to unjumble those words and put them into the correct order. Could you tell me when she is going to be back? Listen. Could you tell me when she is going to be back? Number 6, I don't know. Better, I'm, but no, I, sorry, don't. I'm sorry, but I don't know. I'm sorry, but I don't know. Number 7, tell her to call me back. You need a more polite request here. Ask back you, me, could her call to? Could you ask her to call me back? Could you ask her to call me back? And finally, number 8. Okay, bye. Calling off, thank you for course. Of course, thank you for calling. Of course, thank you for calling. So let's have a look at the conversation and how it sounds now, okay? Number 1, could I speak to Stephanie Marsden, please? 2, can I ask who's calling, please? 3, could you repeat that, please? 4, I'm afraid Stephanie isn't available at the moment. 5, could you tell me when she's going to be back? 6, I'm sorry, but I don't know. 7, could you ask her to call me back? And 8, Of course. Thank you for calling. I think it would be really good if I repeated those again and you repeat them after me. Try to copy my pronunciation and my intonation, so the rise and fall of my voice. Ready? Could I speak to Stephanie Marston, please? 2. Can I ask who's calling, please? 3. Could you repeat that, please? 4. I'm afraid Stephanie isn't available at the moment. 5. Could you tell me when she's going to be back? 6. I'm sorry, but I don't know. 7. Could you ask her to call me back? And 8. Of course. Thank you for calling. So those are examples of fixed phrases that we use when making a phone call, in a semi-formal phone call in English. So somebody you don't know very well, maybe someone that you're calling at work. Okay, so my top tips for when you're telephoning in English are as follows. How to sound. It's very important to sound polite on the phone, and it's quite difficult to achieve that in a foreign language. So what do you do? Okay, how to sound more polite when making a phone call in English. Use polite requests such as can you, or better still, could you. Use indirect questions, not direct ones. So not when is she going to be back, but could you tell me when she's going to be back? And use fixed phrases like who's calling, please. So we don't say who's that. Who's calling, please? And not what, but could you repeat that, please? And remember to use please. It's very important to the English ear. Okay, English people will help you much more if you say please. That's my top tip. Okay, let's move on now to task 5. So here we've got to complete the dialogue so that it sounds more polite and then read it aloud several times. Okay, so I've given you the ideas and you need to fill in the sentences and say them so that you sound more polite. Here we go. I'm A, you're B. A, hello? B, could I, Stephanie Marston? Could I speak to Stephanie Marston, please? Or could I talk to Stephanie Marston, please? Can I who? Can I ask who is calling, please? Can I ask who is calling, please? Lisa Hiles. Maybe you don't know how to write my name. So, could you repeat that, please? Could you repeat that, please? Lisa Hiles. I'm afraid, Stephanie. Not here. How can we say that? I'm afraid Stephanie isn't available at the moment. I'm afraid Stephanie isn't available at the moment. Could you going to be back? Could you going to be back? Could you tell me when she's going to be back? Could you tell me when she is? 5 words. Could you tell me when she's going to be back? Excuse me. A. I'm sorry, but... I'm sorry, but I don't know. Could you call me back? Could you ask her to call me back? Could you ask her to call me back? Could you ask her to call me back? Thanks. Of course. Thanks for calling. How did you do? Let's have a look. So here are the answers to task 5. Okay, so I've written the conversation out in full. And I think what I'd like you to do now is to spend a couple of minutes reading that conversation aloud, practicing it. Okay, then go back to this one and see how much you can remember. Okay? You can switch between task 5, the task, and task 5, the full dialogue, and see how you do. That's the end of lesson 9 about mobile phones and how to make a phone call in English. I hope you found it useful, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you for listening. Bye now.